Good afternoon, folks. It's UPTV, Urbana Public Television, Cable Channel 6. I want to thank you all for coming to this special afternoon broadcast of the show, featured live here in City Hall, located at 400 East Vine, is it South Vine? South Vine Street, here in Urbana, Illinois. I want to say Benny Shonos to my grandmother, my grandmother back in New York and Florida. I send my love out to my family and friends wherever they may be. Shout outs to the local folks who are supporting me out here in the community, even folks in Rose and Taylor, and to my barber, Chris. Was good, man. I want to say, give you the legal disclaimer as always, because I'm going to talk a lot of trash. People know I talk a lot of nonsense, and so I have to give you the legal disclaimer to avoid any issues people may have with anything that I say. So, WRFU UPTV is an open forum for the Urbana-Champaign community. Views expressed are those of the speakers and not intended to represent WRFU, UCMC, Air Force, UPTV, University of Illinois Foundation, or anyone else. These thoughts and words are mine and mine alone and belong and beholden to no one else. So here we go, folks. First, what I'm going to do is let you know about some other projects we just completed, in particular that of the Ill Poet Society. It's an album which we just released, which is available for you. And of course, if anything you see you have a problem with, you can always call this number at the bottom, this little 328-8280. Any issues you have with anything that I say, go ahead and call in. We'll put you live on the air, and you can go ahead and opine and share your thoughts and words and wisdom. But I wanted to mention the album cover, which I'm featuring here, which is Ill Poet Society Volume 2, which a project which I collaborated with Aaron Ammons' brother, a.k.a. Brother A-Dub, a spoken word album which is available here in the local community at your local public library, whether it's the Urbana Free Library or the Urbana Champaign Public Library or any of the local cultural centers here. I've left copies there for a free checkout, supported by City of Urbana Arts Grant, along with funded by SORF. Art features about 10 different artists, 19 different tracks covering a wide range of topics. It is rated R, so if you're a young scholar out there, you need an elder with self-knowledge to go ahead and help you check that out. You can go and do that for free, as I said. An amazing spoken word album, and we'll be coming out with more content along those lines in terms of videos and whatnot associated with the project. So why am I doing this? Why am I coming on the air with you? People may think I should just go and regress into sort of subside into my little hole and just accept the fact that I'm going to graduate from this town, but I was thinking to myself, there's a lot of people I got a problem with in this university, and I haven't really let anybody know any of the drama of the things that happened. So later on in this episode, I'm going to reveal some ugly things that different administrators and people here on this campus have done to me or said to me. Along with that, I'll give you my personal opinion on some scholars. I like to call them fake black and brown scholars here, frowny faces, fake black and brown scholars, frowny faces that are here in this community. I want to highlight so you can exactly know where my position is and why. But in the meantime, I'm going to go for, oh, God, she brought him up. All right, I'm going to go through a bunch of different topics in the news. Particularly, I'm going to start off with President Obama's legacy. Many people thus far who voted for President Obama have been very dissatisfied for his lack of ability to advocate for positions which he was so firm and steadfast on during his election run. Me, for example, I know I had a huge problem with health care. You know, when he was running, the notion of single taxpayer or single payer or universal health care seemed to be more along the lines of what he was advocating for. And then this new system, more privatized health care, was not really what I was going for. And so I was extremely dissatisfied with the health care plan. But one of the big issues we had out there, we can go to the next image on that same line, is that of immigration reform. I don't know if people watched I'll move myself. I don't know if people watch the actual, State of the Union, but he spent maybe a paragraph maximum on immigration reform. Okay, folks? He has about 11 million people here in the country who are in the throes, in the shadows, who are hardworking individuals, undocumented citizens, attempting to gain access to everything we hold in value in this country, who are being denied on a day-to-day level. And I know there's many people on different sides of the spectrum who have problems with immigration reform. Like, for example, if we go to the next image there, on there, the image, the Tea Party. That's not the right image. Go to the next one of that. The next that's the Tea Party image right there, the Tea Partiers. And really, actually, amongst Democrats and Republicans across the board, most people are in favor of a comprehensive immigration reform and giving a path to citizenship because I think to myself, go to the next picture. What would Ronald Reagan do? What would you do? We look back in 1986, or even go back all the way to the late 1800s. Immigration and the status of U.S. citizenship has been in a state of flux from the Chinese Exclusion Act of the late 1800s. You can go back to the previous one, to the late 1800s, all the way up to 1986 with the Ronald Reagan's Immigration Reform Act, 1986 that he passed. Even Ronald Reagan believed that, people who were in this country, who had laid their roots down and who lived here and working hard, deserved a path to citizenship. Regardless of what you think of, militarizing the border and all the politics that go behind that, There are people who are actively working in this community and beyond across the country who deserve a chance for citizenship. And I would implore everyone out there to consider their position on this. It's not right, man. I know people say, oh, it's illegal for them to come. Like, first off, the border has been, our notion of status has literally, changed as a country in our definition at a whim. Like I said, with President Reagan, or even going all the way back to the Chinese Exclusion Act, we have changed the status and definition of citizenship outside of birthship, obviously being born here. But there have been different times and periods in this country where we have changed the definition, and I think it was long overdue, and it's 2014. All the Republicans out there need to pay note, man. Don't listen to Boner, or what is Boner? I wish I had a picture of him. Boner and all the other Republicans. Republicans need to pass immigration reform. You guys will never win the Latino vote. Never, 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 never win the Latino vote. You're not going to win another presidency. You're going to lose handedly, and long overdue Republican counties. You're going to lose. I'm trying to tell you, you're going to lose big. Okay, immigration reform, and obviously cannabis and legalization is another issue, but immigration reform is going to be the issue which is going to cripple you amongst the Latino community. Don't listen to what the Cubans are telling you. I'm telling you what the Mexicanos, Central Americans, the Puerto Ricans, those are the people you need to be listening to in terms of immigration reform. I don't care what Marco Rubio has to say, but he doesn't represent the Latino population, okay? First off, he's Cuban. Secondly, he's Cuban. That's it. Another issue which I wanted to talk in terms of, so past immigration reform, 2014 is the year. You brought up the image of the Keystone Pipeline XL, which is basically to bring more oil coming across from Canada over to the U.S. and allow us to increase the number of imports out there and increase our productivity in terms of oil. Some of the reports came out recently indicating that the environmental impact would be minimal, or not as greatly negative as was initially reported to be. Okay, let me tell folks, I am tired of hearing about oil. I am sick and tired of going to the pump and seeing the price fluctuate. I don't know what the rationale is, how people can do this. Like, price goes up and down like 30 cents, all right, at the pump within 2 weeks. Like, what is the rationale behind it? There's no rhyme or reason to it. We're long overdue cars who are at least 60 miles to the gallon in terms of efficiency. We're long overdue for newer technologies like electricity and gas stations that have the ability to charge electric cars. I mean, I'm sorry, but we're coming up with new schemes to import oil. I'm thinking to myself, these guys already have enough money. These are the people who are stopping the American infrastructure from being able to develop other alternative sources of energy, okay? And I'm not talking about coal, and coal is dirty old fuel. People in Virginia, West Virginia, I know there's a big coal mining population and supporters out there, and I understand that the people have been indoctrinated in that and have a history tied to coal, but we need newer forms of energy. I watched the Jetsons. I don't know about you guys. I was even Marty McFly from you watch Back to the Future? You've seen Back to the Future. I'm waiting for my flying car, okay? 2014, Virgin Galactic is about to have their spaceships going off. We're supposed to have, flying vehicles here. We're still talking about fuel and oil and like that. I'm like, no to the Keystone XL pipeline, no to the environmental impact that it will have, regardless of what they try to portray as being minimal. That doesn't mean it's going to be zero, folks. It will impact the environment, okay? And we're already on a very downward spiral slope. You only have to look outside with the polar vortex to be able to appreciate that. Let's go to the next topic. Oh, Eric Holder. At least we have one black dude who can stand up for something. I mean, geez. Eric Holder recently going on the record indicating that he's going to be advocating for the right of felons, former felons who have paid their time to be able to vote. There are at least 11 states within the union that still forbid people with a felony record who have paid their time and even who are not on parole to be able to vote. Okay, one thing I can say about Eric Holder, at least he holds it down politically and socially in terms of as an African American, as a scholar who's in a high-ranking position, which is not something we can say for some of our elected officials. But thank you to Eric Holder. Anybody out there? Oh, we're going on to this issue. So here's a legal disclaimer for everyone out there who's paying attention. Let you guys know, I do know personally Sister Carol Ammons, along with her husband, Brother Aaron Ammons. I've worked with them personally. I've broken bread with them. I know their kids. I've mentored them and whatnot, so I can state that clearly so people know that in advance. But also state that having worked with them throughout the years, I can firsthand account for them being good people, intelligent, and advocating for local families and communities. But I was surprised Well, actually, I shouldn't be surprised because it was the News Gazette, which is like the mouth and the beacon and horn for racism within this community. I often sometimes go to the newspaper thinking I'm going to get unbiased reporting from these folks, knowing full and foremost that the News Gazette is really just a mouthpiece for the right-wing racist schema out here and the faction that's out here. And I've read in this that they were her opponent, who's in the next picture, should be in the next, or they don't have, I didn't send you that guy? Oh, here we go. Eric Jacobson, who are both running for state representative of the 103rd District, was reporting in the News Gazette article, which I believe was written by Kachik, was the writer of that, indicated that, according to Jacobson, he was accusing her of having basically a fake degree, is what he's insinuating, saying it's from a degree mill, Walsingham University in London, reporting that it's a type of university, basically alleging that it's he couldn't find any of their faculty contact information, suggesting something more subversive along those lines. Let me tell you about this dude. First off, he's in computational physics. Computational biostatistics, come on, man. You're not even a real scientist. And over here advocating, talking about Carol Emmons. Dude, I mean, I don't know what kind of, he can't even hold my intellectual jockstrap, this guy. I know he's a professor emeritus here at the University of Illinois. I don't know if that's really saying anything. I mean, I don't know if that was a good or bad thing when I mentioned that. But to have the gall to try to question her intellect and ability, I've sat shoulder to shoulder and side by side with her, like I said, in various opportunities, both for working and advocating for folks within the communities, and actually being able to talk to her firsthand and can say, I've never questioned her intellectual ability, and her raising her children and getting her degree online at the same time to go and question that, woo, bro, you really don't think you stand a chance. You're just grabbing at straws like this. Come on, man. I mean, really. I mean, if you had an issue, an intellectual issue, you know, some sort of reform or something advocating in the community that you were going to be juxtaposed to her to contradict, to offer your opinion, perhaps I could hold you with some regard. And I was even more shocked to know that he was on the Public Arts Commission, which apparently was the group that awarded me my grant for the album for Ill Poets Society, which made it even funny. Like, yo, thank you for the money, dude. But seriously, you're an intellectual peon, and you're a jerk for that. I couldn't even believe you couldn't even call her out on an actual issue. You're trying to go at her for her degree. I'm like, there are plenty of people within the community at the university in Champaign-Urbana who get online degrees. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, if you're an idiot and you're getting a degree, then obviously there's something to be said for that. That's a problem. But I can attest to Sister Carol Emmons. I can attest to her ability, intellectual, and also to advocate for folks throughout the community. No question about her. She, for me, is the premier candidate for that. And just for him stating that, I think you just get him off my screen, man. I don't even want to talk about this dude no more. He's an idiot. Ooh, this is a sore spot right here. Folks may not know Jordan Davis, who's illustrated here in the image to my right on the screen, which is on your left you're looking at. Jordan Davis was shot down in a gas station by Michael Dunn, who's in the next picture. We can go to him. Michael Dunn was at a gas station after a wedding, for his son. I'm putting him juxtaposed to George Zimmerman because they share much alike in their ability to gun down young African-American teens and to likely get away with it. And so he's there in Jacksonville, Florida, near that area. And he's going down there, I think it was November 24th, 2012, and he hears loud music. And for whatever reason, he decides to engage in an argument with these young scholars in their car because of being bothered by the obnoxious music, as he described it. And then eventually, because of that, going back into his car or getting his gun out and unloading 3 rounds with 10 shots into the car, fatally killing Jordan Davis. Okay, he killed this young kid in a gas station basically for having too loud of music. And I sat there and I listened to the stats about this case. And then you hear about this, and you find out that the police didn't get this dude until the next day. So he ended up leaving the gas station with his wife, or I think his girlfriend and wife, going back to his room, which was another county away, going back there to make sure that they could walk their dog out of fear that he would poop in the hotel room, ordering food, and also drinking alcohol to calm his nerves, as he put it. And I'm listening to this dude like, if this dude, I already expect him to get away with it because, in America, that's just what happens. Some white dude shoots a young black teen. That's just a script. It's a tale as old as time, beauty and the... No, for real. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, where is the justice in this? And I'm not the type of person that wanted to, hang people or, go after them like viciousness, but this dude needs to be held accountable. We're still talking about this idiot trying to get paid off of a celebrity match. And now we're talking about this idiot going and shooting and killing a young scholar. I hope that justice actually transpires. although I'm a realistic optimist and to know that, it's not likely to happen because that's just how America is. The legal system is not blind, and especially not colorblind. And if you have a problem with anything I'm saying thus far, you can call in, or even if you want to opine and share your opinion, you can go ahead and call in 217-328-8280. I'd like to thank all the folks out there who support the show, all the folks out there from the community. Holler at y'all, man. Even to the folks at Rose and Taylor Barbershop. Shout out to my barber, Chris. Let's go to the next topic. Oh, this guy right here. I'm from New York, man, and this guy, I don't know why. I don't know why Republicans think they have a chance. And they think this dude was going to be their savior. Like, it is not happening. I'm sorry. There's so many other candidates who had a better chance, even if he didn't have Bridgegate working against him. Even if it wasn't Hillary Clinton, Cory Booker, they're just folks who are just more likable, have better politically aligned in terms of the spectrum with the country as a whole. But Chris Christie, for those out there who don't know, is involved in Bridgegate. Basically, he decided, after not getting an endorsement from some Democratic mayors and other politicians within Jersey, to close the Fort Lee Bridge, which leads into New York City. For those of you, leading into the George Washington Bridge, y'all don't know, this is one of the busiest bridges in America, and I can assure you that as many lanes as they have there to take all of your $13 to cross that bridge, which is freaking ridiculous to begin with, but $13 just to cross that bridge, closing it for one day has astronomical consequences, including allegedly the death of a woman because of the ER or ambulance not being able to get across and to have her be taken to the necessary emergency services. And initially, Chris Christie denied knowing anything about it, but now there's all kinds of uproar about it. And obviously, we need to wait for all the facts to play out to know exactly what he knew and when he knew it. But my thing is, everybody knows he's a bully. Like, why are we live in such a warring society in the U.S. Like, I don't understand why we can't elect intelligent, good people. Like, is that not possible? Like, people, the Republicans think that this is their guy. Like, this bully, this jerk, and this a-hole is the person who they're going to have to lead them, lead their charge in terms of their political agenda. But let's get this guy out the screen. Who else is up on there? Oh, George Lucas. All right. I wasn't going to talk nothing about this, but my friend brought this up recently, I think, because of the movie Red Wings. This is George Lucas. Red Wings came out recently. And I will never see Red Wings if I can help it. I think George Lucas is probably one of the biggest racists, I think, for making this movie, and here's why. Prior to the movie being released across America, he gave this diatribe almost verbatim to the effect of, well, I just hope people go out there and see it, because if they don't, I don't know if Hollywood will fund another movie like this. Basically saying, if you don't go out there and watch this movie with black people, I don't know if we're ever going to make another movie about black people again. And I thought to myself, this guy's serious? This was such an insult for me personally, to all the scholars from Oscar Michaud, all the way up to like Melvin Van Peebles. And I'm thinking to myself, really? You think because if we don't watch your version of history in this movie, that we will never have another movie of this caliber and this budget? Like, really? Like, I took so much offense. It's the same way I will not see Monsters Ball and the other movie what was the movie that Denzel got the Oscar for? I forgot, where he's the cop. Forgot the movie. But either way, I will not see those movies that I can avoid it, because Hollywood ended up giving them Oscars that year for what I thought was them trying to teach us a lesson about giving black actors awards. I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, Halle Berry, Baps, Baps. But, in terms of Denzel Washington, so many other movies he made before that, including one of my personal favorites, Glory, which I think he should have been nominated for. And so to have this dude go on and say something like that and have the movie come out, that's what I say. Next topic. Oh, Kanye West. Have people been watching this? I don't know if you guys have been watching this. Kanye West has been recently going around to various radio outlets, media outlets, complaining and whining about not getting access to some of the most prominent venues or dealership deals with Nike or whatever other rich, famous clothing lines in order to get access to them, to be able to put out his product the way he would like. And as I'm listening to him go through his little diatribe and blathering on, I'm thinking to myself, you are so intellectually not all there. I just felt like he's a complete child emotionally in terms of being able to express himself. Because I'm looking at him like, yo, you have all this money, all this creative ability, and all these people who will buy your product, and yet you're complaining because you're scared of putting $15 million out on a project and then losing it. Like, obviously, you're not that good then. If you have that much money and you can't you can't escalate yourself to the next levels, I mean, I personally think that's just an intellectual, how should I say, glass ceiling you have for yourself. It's ironic that I'm putting it right there. A little glass ceiling you have over yourself that you can't get up. So I'm just tired of hearing about him going on to radio stations. Yes, it is wrong that you don't have full control over your product and you can't get it out there. But so what? I'm tired of hearing about you. Go do your own business, your own clothing line. You go into stadiums, you have like tens of thousands of people going out there to watch you perform. If you can't go out there and put a product out there with a budget of 15 million and make it profitable, something is wrong with you. I mean, I guess you should have finished college then. Go to the next one. Oh, this happened in, I think this was North Carolina. That recently, this is North Carolina, it says it on the license plate. I guess I can read too. For those of you that are unaware, there was a big uproar within North Carolina. A 3-judge federal panel basically denied these license plates from being put out there that say basically choose life. In essence, around the same time that they were putting out this license plate, which I believe they first put them out in 2011, they were objecting to having other license plates with text and language such as trust women and respect women, or respect the decision, or respect the vote right to the body, something to that effect. So in essence, saying that state, in terms of the legislature and political government, was only going to support license plate that supported abortion, and because of that, a 3-judge panel, federal judge panel, has struck it down and said they can't use those license plate, and of course they're appealing that and going on the process. And my thing is, folks, how can I put this nicely, eloquently, because I'm on live TV and I can't post-production edit this thing. Like, I'm tired of being in a society where we have people who are using and stopping intellectual progress and usurping time and conversation about issues that I care like zero about, okay? I am not a proponent of abortion, but I am pro-choice. And the reason I say that is because my mom had me at the age of 15. 1 month after my mother turned 15, I was brought into this world. And obviously, my mom had a very difficult decision for herself. Should she have the abortion, should she not? And she chose not to have an abortion. And obviously, I am eternally grateful for that. But there's a lot of people for whom that is not the right decision. And moreover, you know what? Having a baby and pregnancy is one of the most dangerous things a woman can do. Men out there, you think, oh, right to vote, and like, I'm sorry. It's not just a simple matter of like popping it out, okay? It doesn't just happen like that, That actual procedure, because it is a procedure, folks. You go to the hospital, costs money. That actual procedure is one of the most dangerous things a woman can do, okay? And so I don't even know why men even jump into the conversation. I just think women should have the right to choose. And I'm tired of having this conversation. We decided this with Roe versus Wade, and we were consistently and continuously revisiting issues like this and the fact of creationism. Look, you can go live in a cave and think that God created the world in 6 days and whatever, but there are actually intelligent scholars who are theologians and believe in the Bible and who understand that evolution is real and aren't forcing us to constantly have a conversation about issues like this, okay? I'm still waiting for my flying cars. Did I mention that? Next topic. Oh, let's not, these are the R's or the Z's. These are all the news topics that I had. Did I go through all of them? Let's go through it. I don't want to talk about, let's not talk the R's. To get this guy up again. That's Dr. Scott Silverman, who I'll talk about, and some of my most racist, these are the Z's. Let's not do the Z's either. I'll talk about some of the black and brown frowny faces when I get to these pictures here. See what other topics. Again, as folks always, this is WRFU, or no, this is UPTV Cable Channel 6. If you want to call us, you can also call in to 217-328-8280. 328-8280. I'm never too good for criticism. Oh, this is a Z picture as well. So these are all the pictures? Okay, let's do the Z's. These are the Z's. How much time we got? I don't even know. Oh my gosh, we're going that long? Woo, gosh, I am. Okay, so when I came to this university, I began here as an MD PhD program. People may not know this. When I got my acceptance letter, actually, in my apartment in the Bronx, I remember getting the letter because my mom told me I had gotten in and I didn't believe her. I was like, I don't know, maybe she misread it, or because she was like reading the letter to me over the phone. I was like, is that true? Is that true? Because sometimes my mom, she reads, she misses the word, and she says something to me, and it wasn't what she thought it was, and you have that when you read someone reads you the letter over the phone, sometimes they miss a word, and not getting in versus accepting is a very huge difference. But when I found out that I got in, I stopped myself, I cried, and I kissed the floor. I was so grateful to get here to the University of Illinois, and I told myself I would do the best and do the most that I could with the opportunities that I had here. And that's what I've tried to do since I was here. And regardless of what your opinion of everything that I've accomplished, that's what I've tried to do from my perspective. Unfortunately, I ran into a lot of turmoil and trouble. You can take this picture down just for a second. I ran into a lot of trouble and turmoil here because I was doing things like advocating for scholars from marginalized populations. You know, people may not know all the different programs that I advocated for here, and I'm going to reveal some of those conversations. And I kept them internal because I didn't want to cause friction with these people needlessly and then just be talking about them and like that, because I still got to work in this space. This dominant, this racist campus and this racist community, Champaign-Urbana and University of Illinois, one of the most racist places I've ever been in my life. Mind you, I graduated from MIT. I spent a summer at Yale. I spent 2 years working in a molecular cardiology lab at Columbia University while I was going to City College of New York, doing postgraduate coursework. And then I came here, obviously, for my MD, PhD, and I obtained my PhD in biochemistry. Not the liberal arts and sciences, folks. Don't play around with that. Don't tell me you said that. And so, having done all those things, I felt, as one of the top scholars in advocating for black and brown people and for marginalized populations in general, that my opinion should have merit, it should have weight. Not only because I'm of the same population they're trying to save, but because literally when you look at all the numbers of like coming from a single family household, being on welfare when I was younger, being in the horrible living circumstances that I was at various points in my life, and going through various programs and channels, I felt having maneuvered through them, I knew what worked and what didn't work from a first-hand perspective. So I sat in tons of meetings, trying to work with people. And when the university tried to push me out, ended up cutting my funding, giving me an ultimatum of try to find an advisor. I went through a lot of different advisors to try to get help. And you can put up some pictures of now. It doesn't matter which one of the Z's up here. I went up to a lot of different people to try to ask, how can I find an advisor? Oh, this lady. Can you make this picture bigger? Oh, if you can't do it right now, it's okay. That's fine. This is a picture here of different scholars, one of whom was in here, like this one right here, Ave Alvarado. Oh, yeah, this lady. All right. So I went up to a lot of different scholars saying, look, I have a 4.0 GPA. I've got funding for another year. No laboratory will take me because I've been booted from my lab because my advisor doesn't want to be around somebody who's creating tension from advocating for black and brown people. Doesn't matter how many countless hours I was putting in the lab. I could prove all the work that I was doing. I had my lab notebook, if anything, all the experiments I had done, most beautiful lab notebooks you'll ever see in your life in that laboratory, and no one's taking me. They're lying and saying things. I could list at least 11 to 12 different faculty members who lied and said they didn't have money for me, said they didn't have lab space in order to be able to take me on for their projects, or they lied to my face and said, oh, we're done with that research project. Like, really? In the world of research, you're never done with a research project, but he went a lot. What's one guy? Weeman Zhao, Professor Weeman Zhao. I got to shout you out for lying in my face about that. One person that I went to was Ave Alvarado. I can still remember having that. They was there at the, SPI, the Post, one of these summer lunches when they welcome all the minorities, which I never got welcomed to do that, but all the minority PhDs were welcome to go and participate in that. And I showed up there because I was this first summer after I got booted in my lab, and I was on the cusp of being kicked out of here, so I was like, let me go holler at her. She did a big fat donut for me, did nothing, as I expected, because she's one of the frowny faces, fake black and brown administrators, who will only support and advocate for scholars for whom she feels comfortable. And that's my problem. My problem isn't people, they can, as long as they do a great job and advocate for everyone equitably, I got no issues with them. Even if they don't like me, hate me, whatever, I don't care. As long as they're doing a great job for everybody. But she's one of those administrators here who will keep getting elevated, who selectively advocates for scholars. So that's why I got a problem with her. So screw her. Next person. Oh, you want to know what this guy told me? I was part of a group of people here, the STOP Coalition, STOP, Students Transforming Oppression and Privilege here on the campus, who during the early 2007 year, we advocated, we organized a forum that over 3,000 people attended at the university, Racism, Power, and Privilege at the University of Illinois. The Board of Trustees members were there. President White was there at the time. A bunch of bigwigs. We forced them to get on stage and made several demands there for that 2-hour-long meeting. Ended up getting the mascot removed as part of that effort, working with various other students. And I had tons of meetings during that period of time as part of that group. One of the meetings was with this dude when he was the head of the Black House, okay, or the Bruce D. Nesbitt Cultural Center, along with other cultural center leaders. And as we're there, we're talking to these people, and we're like, what do you guys want? Because we're meeting with all these big deans, presidents, chancellors, like, we want to know what your priorities are so we can go and advocate for them, and make sure that they get put on the agenda at the forefront. So for example, La Casa was dilapidated. People don't know this, but La Casa Cultural Latina, 1203 West Nevada Street, I mean, there were bats in the attics. The kitchens were disgusting. You wouldn't want to eat off of the kitchen. These are like communal spaces for students, including Latino students, to utilize, which are just disgusting. The furniture was, I mean, crappy. You could tell where all the stains were. Like the hardwood floors were not there like they are now. There was no Wi-Fi there. And so they were stating all these different things that they wanted, like the ones that I just enumerated, and asking for those, which we did advocate for, ended up getting for the students who may not even know that the STOP group ended up doing that for everyone out there. So shout outs to all the scholars who participated in that. And as we're sitting in this meeting, Nathaniel Banks, we turned to him and asked him what he wants. He says basically almost, I can still see him. I'm sitting there looking at the dude, sitting at an angle from me. He's like, I should look this way, I guess, for the sake of the camera angle, the shot. But really, I was looking that way when that happened. And I look at him, he says, you know what? I'm going to listen to you guys and try to help you support you guys. But I'm going to let you know, if you cross me, I'm going to undercut you. And I'm going to cut you off at the legs. I was sitting there like, whoa. Mind you, this is black dude here, African-American dude here, talking to somebody who's been experiencing all the drama that I was experiencing here. I'm there to meet with him, the cultural center leaders, the directors of the cultural centers, to ask what their priorities are so I can help them. And for him to say that, I was like, yo, white America and white people with Champaign-Urbana, you need to watch out for this dude. I don't care how many jazz festivals he puts on with his little band in the local area. This black dude has problems, okay? I understand he came up here in Project 500 back in the late 60s, and there's some oppressive things he experienced, but whoa. Columbine-esque, this guy right here. I do not like that guy. Next one. Psh, this dude doesn't stand for anything. Whitewashed. Chris Spann. Next one. Psh. This dude, James Anderson, former head of the Educational Policy Studies, many different black and brown scholars will tout and told him as one of the premier scholars on his campus. I can't stand this dude. I can't stand it. Because as all that drama was transpiring, he's one of the people that I met with, and I specifically asked him some questions to which he knew the answer, and he wouldn't tell me. He explicitly would not tell me. He tried to roundabout point me to how I get to it. I was like, yo, you're sitting right across from me at the table. Just tell me where I can get the information. And he wouldn't tell me. And as a historian, as a scholar, as another, black and brown scholar here in the community, one face to face, for me to ask you a question, if you did not give me the answer, you're full of it. I can't respect you. I mean, I will never look at him with any regard or any highlight, no matter how many PhDs he graduates. I just will never say anything positive about James Anderson. I won't say anything negative about him other than the fact that I don't like him. Next. This lady. Okay. Ronnie, as they call her, Veronica Khan, the assistant director of the La Casa Cultural Latina. First off, I don't even know if her degrees are any real. She claims she's about to get a PhD for like 20 years, been on the verge of getting a PhD. How about you actually write your thesis? Huh? How about that? How about that, Ronnie? Let me say this. She fits into the category of Ave Maria Alvarado, who I would say is one of those people who, how should we say, so again, selectively advocates for scholars, black and brown scholars, who they know who to have hire to work in La Casa because they can control them, because they know they're paying them and working with them, know which fraternities and sororities to maintain connections with, so they won't say anything negative about her. But you know what? Out of all the turmoil and all the drama that's happened over the years in La Casa, she has been the only constant. And I want folks to think about this. Since the '92 protests, there have been directors of La Casa cycling in and out of La Casa, and yet she has remained. Think about this. One person, the secretaries run away from her, administrative assistants from her, all the other people in the school run away from her. They won't say that, but I'll put her on blast, Ronnie Khan. But yet she still remains, okay? And I think to myself, and I know the students, there are going to be plenty of students who don't agree with me, and that's totally fine. You're entitled to your opinion. Go do your 1 hour live TV broadcast, and we'll see how you venture and fare in terms of expressing your advocacy for her. She's even rounded up students to try to screw over other administrators. That's what Veronica Khan has done, okay? She has no credentials in terms of the PhD. She's been in that position because other black and brown scholars advocated for her to be in it, and then she screwed them over. Okay, so I have nothing positive to say about her. She saw me when I came back I've been gone for like 4 months. I was in California, I was in New York. And when I came back and walked to La Casa, she did one of these, she like cancer came on her or something. Like she just got the news, she got cancer type of thing. Like, sorry, miss. And I was definitely one of those people who was in the backdrop making sure she did not get the directorship of La Casa because she doesn't deserve it. I don't even think she should have assistant director at La Casa Cultural Latina. Folks, she has single-handedly undermined other directors and other programs within La Casa. You may not know that, but I'm telling you because I can attest to it firsthand. Okay, if a program faltered over the last 15 years where the director didn't get funding, you have to think she knew how to get all the money and she knew about all the proposals and where to go, and she's been the one constant. So if there's been not fluidity throughout, it's been her fault. Next. This guy. Alejandro Lugo was another one of the scholars who I went to and asked for assistance. And I think when I went and made the meeting with him, as I was on the cusp of being kicked out of the university, he didn't expect me to have my transcript there, my GPA to show him, along with my track record of, again, graduating from MIT and having a 4.0 at the time, and showing that all to him. And I gave him my story, and I guess he said, "Oh well, what are your scores like? And then I showed him all the things, and he's like, "Oh, I guess I can't use that as an excuse not to advocate for you." So I just lump him together as one of those people who I went to for assistance, who did absolutely donut for me, who was selectively quiet about issues. There'll be a couple issues he'll go ahead and stand out about, I'm sure, when there's people who advocate on his behalf. And I actually saw him as he was crossing the street as I was driving by today, going to the Black House. Mind you, the Black House had the skimpiest food, man. I feel like I was at Oliver Twist, they're rationing. I felt like 12 years a slave there, year number 1, as I was trying to get my free sandwich there. But I see him crossing the street, and he waved to me, like, "Hey!" I looked at him, I was like, wait a second, I don't like you. And I was like, so yeah, next person. Sundiata Chadwa. Yo, bro, I'm gonna let you rock for right now, but some of the stupid nonsense you told me when I first got here, when I needed assistance, I'm gonna let you rock. But I'm gonna put your face on, I'll put you on blast. Everybody knows we got issues. We got issues that we have not worked out. And I don't know if we ever will work out, and I'm fine with that. So I'm gonna leave it like that. Next one. Oh, we're going into the racist most moments. How much time we got here? Oh, we're good with time. Okay. I promised that I would talk about some of the 5 most racist moments that I encountered here at the University of Illinois. There were so many for me to select from. I had to go back into the recesses to my mind to try to put, because you put those things in the back of your head and you just bury them. Many people may not know there's a lot of black and brown scholars here at the university. They get pushed out, whether they're in an MD and a PhD program, forced to get switched laboratories, or just kicked out, period, by virtue of, they won't say it's racism, but they just say the chemistry didn't work out between the advisor and the student. And ironically, this scholar and professor in chemistry here, Dr. Scott Silverman, on April 3rd, 2007, kicked me out of his laboratory. He invited me, gave me no warning. I met with him in January because what happened was I was advocating for Latinos and African Americans and other underrepresented populations. I was going hard, I'm talking about hard in terms of advocacy. I was spray chalking campus with things like KKK established 1906. I was going to every meeting and venue possible for public comment and saying, these people are racist. We need to change these things here because it's not right. He was not comfortable with that. He was not comfortable with all the pressure associated with it. Had nothing to do with my work whatsoever, but he invited me to a meeting on April 3rd without warning in 2007 at 1 p.m., invited me in there with Colin Raitt, former head of the Department of Biochemistry. I said, I go up to the meeting. I was like, I guess I can show up to the meeting at 1 o'clock. I guess I told him, because that's how I roll, man. Nobody's my boss around here. If I go, it's because we have a mutual agreement and respect for each other, and that's how we work. I mean, a person of my caliber can't just be jumping and hopping at people to run like that. So I gave him the good graces of going to the meeting, and I sat down and looked at him, and I sat there and said, what do you want to talk about? And he hands me a letter, about a paragraph long, and I guess I should have brought the letter to have it, because I have everything saved. I have all the documentation saved, where he says, almost paraphrased almost exactly, I no longer have scientific trust in you, and I can no longer have you in my laboratory. As of today is your last day within the laboratory. I sat down there and I started to cry at the fact that I not only had I spent over a year in his laboratory, pouring my blood, heart, and sweat, because it was the research that I loved doing. Okay, I literally loved doing that research. And I just looked at him, I was like, I called him right, I was like, why? I just like, why did that just happen, And I got walked down to my laboratory. I got down, asked to take my keys, handed my keys to the lab. I asked to get handed everything related to the laboratory, and I was asked not to come back again. And that for me was one of the most racist moments. Scott Silverman himself is not a racist, but that was one of the most racist things anyone's ever done to me. He couldn't just man up and say that he was not comfortable with me, and he's probably wearing the same exact pants and t-shirt right now with a little tied up like that. But I'm serious. He's one of those guys just asexual, I remember I cracked jokes on him because the goggles he's wearing look like grandmother's glasses, but whatever. Super intelligent guy. I love the research he's doing. And even after he kicked me out, I told him I wanted to go back to his laboratory. Nothing, I don't care about him. It was just the work that I was doing that I cared so much about, because I felt that that was actually one of the few things on campus that could lead to cures for various diseases and also various forms of innovation. So I was completely disheartened by that. And that was one of the most racist things that I've had done happen to me at the University of Illinois. Next one. Oh man, this lady. Oh, Jennifer Bloom, Dean Jennifer Bloom, has since moved on to another university, I think in Virginia or Vanderbilt. She ran away when she found out I was going to get kicked out. When nobody moving me out of this university. So when she ran away, so April 3rd is when I get kicked. 2007 is when I get kicked out. Prior to that, back in January, I actually scheduled a meeting with Dean Schwartz, who's the next picture I think in this this sequence here. Excuse me, Dean Bradford Schwartz, another racist dude. He's actually one of the people that helped to call the university police, have them sent to my house, actually sent to my laboratory as well, which is one of the things that made Scott Silverman, Scott Silverman, Professor Scott Silverman, uncomfortable. So Dean Bradford Schwartz, right, I set up the meeting in January, tell him like, yo, this is what it is. I'm not changing my position. You guys need to shape up because I'm tired of you guys being racist, and that's just how it is. I go to the meeting, go back to the picture, go back to the previous picture, and Jenny Bloom is there. I'm like, why is Jenny Bloom? I don't want to talk, like, I'm one of those people, like, as, you know, overinflated sense of self, or whatever you want to have it call it. But if I have a meeting with a boss, I don't really want to talk with peons. Like, unless you're going to be taking notes throughout the meeting, like, why are you going to bring in number 2 and 3? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking to number 1. He should be the one taking notes of anything. So I have the meeting with Dean Schwartz in January 2007, and I'm sitting there in the meeting. I'm telling him how it's going to be, and Jenny Bloom has the gall to sit up in the meeting, sit across me. She jumps up and is like, Ray, I understand all that, but we don't want to have to call the university police on you. We want to work with you. And I'm standing there like, wow, did she just, mind you, they did calling the university police on me, so yeah, I guess it was true to her word, foreshadowing what was going to transpire. So I'm looking at her like, yo, I can't believe this. So as I sat there listening to this lady, I was like, you know what? First and foremost, nothing's going to change from my side. And I proceeded to open up a folder that I had pre-prepared, because people got to know, man, the racist people here are not very creative. I mean, they may think because of their position in power, education, somehow they're intelligent. But really, I mean, I knew everything. Like, I foresaw all of these things coming down the pipeline. I was just hoping that the goodness within them, with all forms, would move into the forefront, so I wouldn't have to endure their stupidity and racism. So I sat there and I pulled up in a folder full of pictures, and they're like, this is what's going to happen. This is what I'm going to do. You guys do whatever you want, but this is what's going to happen. You either ship up or shape out. Mind you, Jenny Bloom, she left. Go to the next picture of Dean Schwartz. He got booted. He got sent to the University of Wisconsin. This is the regional dean of the College of Medicine. He got removed. And also who got moved was Dean Flaherty, the head of all the colleges of medicine up in Chicago. He got booted and sent over to the Caribbean. So, you know, who am I? There were a few other people I removed, such as Dean Lily Hart, incompetent individual within the urban health program. So that was another racist moment that I experienced here. 217-328-8280 if you'd like to share and opine on anything I've stated thus far. Oh man, you put the cold fusion. Oh, right. So here's what's good. Everybody knows about the dollar sushi on Monday. You know about the dollar sushi at Cold Fusion, right? Everybody knows about the dollar. You go to the dollar. So I roll up with my boys. All right. I'm not always. Actually, I'm always a good-looking individual, but I'm not always as clean-shaven as this. You know, I'm wearing all the gear that I am. So I roll up into Cold Fusion. This must have been like 06, 07. Me and my boys were up in there. I was in the lab grinding at least 12 to 16 hours a day, hands down, every day. So when we take a break to go eat food, we want to get in, we want to get out, and we want to be economical because we're not like on a super budget, you know, but we're living okay for living in the community. So me and my friends, all of them PhDs or MD PhDs, all black and brown, we go into Cold Fusion and we watch person after person after person get seated before us who had entered after us. And I'm sitting there like, wow, this Asian lady's really trying to do us like that. I mean, I was in my hoodie, I was unshaven at the time. So I'm saying like, yo, everyone, we're all looking at each other like, we know what's going on. They're just being racist. That's just this town and how they do it. You know, sometimes there's unwritten and unstated ways on how people do things. And that was easily one of the most racist things that happened to me being here. And then what made it worse is when the table became available, it was the one literally adjacent to the kitchen. So I was like, wow, they really waited for the one by the kitchen so no one will have to look at us while they're eating their food. I was like, good Good thing we were all just going to be doctors. So that was one of the most racist moments there. Any more R's left? Or is there all, some other racist moments that I shared here? One of them that I'll share, I was walking out of doing my radio show when the first 2 years that I was doing it here. I invited another PhD to come with me to do a broadcast, talk about research, science, and also different political topics. And as we're leaving the broadcast, my friend had a case of beverages in his hand, and as we're leaving, there's this white dude standing on the rail at the front of the IMC 202 South Broadway, and he shouts something as we're walking. Me and my friend having a conversation. We just nod my head at this dude. I don't really know the guy, so mind you, it's like near midnight, so I'm like, I'm not trying to make friends with some random white guy in the street that time of the day. So as we're leaving the Independent Media Center, walking down the steps, and as I pass the guy, he goes, "Yo," and my N-word, he blurts the N-word out, "What's good?" And I'm just like, I turned, I was like, "Are you talking to us?" I was like, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "What are you saying?" And then he's just like, and he just stood quiet, as if like, I started like, "Oh, maybe I didn't hear that." And then I kept walking. He's like, and then as we kept walking further and further away, he blurted it out again. It's like, "Yo, my N-word, what's good with the beers?" I'm like, it's like, whoa, like, my friend was like, "Oh, calm down." He's like, I'm not even black, I'm Pakistani. I was like, "I know you're Pakistani. Like, what the hell? I know where you're from." Like, that wasn't the point of why I was reacting like that. I was like, I just didn't understand what gave him the wherewithal and gall to feel that he was comfortable just blurting that word out at us. Like, you don't know me, you know, you're hurling this racial epithet at me and my friend. Like, he's not black, and even if it was, it wouldn't be cool because we don't know you, and it's ignorant and hateful. And I'm just like, that was one of the most racist things that happened to me here at the University of Illinois. Oh, another one I'll share. April 3rd of 2007, I got kicked out of my laboratory. April 4th, because of all the political activism that I had been involved in, I had actually been invited to speak at the Council of Deans. My advisor did not know that. He did not know that the day after he kicked me out of my laboratory, I was going to go be speaking in front of the Council of Deans, to which the Dean of the College of Medicine just happened to not show up. He just happened to not be present for that meeting. So I'm there at the Council of Deans meeting. They're about to begin. The head of the council is greeting us, before they begin, and we were eating some snacks and putting our jokes, getting our game faces on, and the head of the council comes up to and introduces herself, and then we introduce ourselves. My name is Ray, and then we had Reem who was there, Trevor was there, and then Tom introduced himself, to which the head of the Council of Deans says, "Oh, finally, an American name." And I was just there like, and we all kind of did one of these. I was like, we just got invited here to talk about diversity to the Council of Deans, and the head of the Council of Deans just said, "Finally, an American name," to my friend Tom, who's Mexican. I was just like, I think that was such I think for myself, an obvious microcosm of the racism here within campus, that someone in the highest position, I'm not going to blur her name out because I wish I did because I don't know it, but whoever the head of the Council of Dean was, that's the person who was on April 4th, 2007 at that meeting. And I went off at that meeting. I gave probably, a very energetic response because, again, I had just been kicked out of the laboratory. I went there April 4th. April 5th, I ended up going to the students. I think April 5th, 2007 was a Wednesday. If it was the 4th, I went there to public comment at the Student Senate and gave a speech there. People may not know. So that was one of the most racist moments. One of the most other racist things that happened here at the University of Illinois is that there are actually 2 rules. People may know the 2 rules that they've created at the University of Illinois because of me. Nobody else, because of me. I don't care what they tell you, what kind of false, reason, rationale. They were voted on and moved forward expeditiously because of me. The first one that they did was public comment being limited to 5 minutes, total of 30 minutes. The reason was I was going up to every single Board of Trustees meeting that I was available for, and going and yelling and calling people racist and asking for people to be fired, including the head of the College of Medicine, Dean Bradford Shorts, and the head of all the colleges of medicine, Dean Flaherty, amongst other people. So you can imagine, you have this guy who's being paid to go to school, fully funded ride, going out there into the most public meetings possible with the biggest heads of all the university, and talking about how people are racist and how he wants people fired. And they were just, so they made the 5-minute rule, and they also made it to try to only have like 30 minutes total, was because of me. The second rule that they also implemented because of me, which is actually codified within the rules, student handbook, was that of spray chalking. Spray chalking is no longer permitted by students on campus, which I think is actually a First Amendment violation because of the historical significance within this community in terms of its use. But they made that rule because I spray chalked KKK established 1906 at UIUC all over campus back in March, late February, March of 2007. So that caused a huge uproar. People didn't know that I did it, didn't know I was a Latino. They thought the KKK was coming back, and they made a rule in the handbook because of that, because of me. So that was two things. All the images that I wanted to run through, did we run all? Really? Anyone else I wanted to yell at who was here? You know, one person I really do need to, I need to thank WRFU. You know, I tell folks, if you want to get involved in the media and the radio, go down to WRFU, located at 202 South Broadway. They have meetings the first Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. It takes 2 people, 2 hours each, and $50 each, and you can have your own radio program for up to 2 hours long, or you can have 2 separate programs up to 2 hours long each for your programming group. They're the easiest radio station to join in the community. You know, kudos to WEFT and Will and all the things that they do in terms of being accessible, but the most accessible and advocating station within the community is WRFU. It doesn't matter what spectrum you are, atheist to very religious, very political to apolitical, sports, sports. Like if you want a radio program, you can go on to WRFU and go ahead and join them. Another group that I was saying advocate for, CU Citizens for Peace and Justice, located having their meetings every Saturday at 4 p.m. at the IMC 202 South Broadway. Every Saturday at 4 p.m. Shout outs to them. Also say shout outs to the Urbana Public Television Cable Channel 6. You want to go ahead and get your radio program, or sorry, TV program out here. You're within the community as long as you're FCC compliant. They're always welcoming new content coming out here and supporting. Also a lot of equipment you can check out and utilize. A lot of resources here within the community, as I'm doing right now, located at 400 South Vine Street here in downtown Urbana. Come on down and support them. But one person I really, really, really want to thank, and I should have put the picture up here, is Mr. T, Mr. Thomas Garza. People may not know this. I owe him a personal thank you. I say a heartfelt thank you for all the things he's done for the show. People don't know. He's probably been the most popular guest on my show. He's been on there so many times in varying capacities, from being interviewed, from being behind a camera, to playing the drums and playing instruments in the backdrops. Super amazing guy, advocate within the community, does various radio programs on WRFU, as well as different projects within the community. Special thank you to Mr. T, Thomas Garza. I want to say a shout out to everyone who's out there. Benny Shonas to my grandmother, my mother back in New York and Florida. Some love out to my family and friends, wherever it may be. Shout outs to Jason, who's in the backdrop, Yosef, Jake, everyone else who contributes and goes out to UPTV. I feel like I should read a poem. Before I leave in the last few minutes that I have left here. And I think, should I read, what type of poem should I read for the folks out there? Should I break a love poem or a heartbreak poem? Which one do you want to hear? I'll let you be the judge.
Love poem.
Love program? No. I'm see. I got to find that one. I got to find one that I'm willing to share. Okay, I'll do the one off the top. I'll do one that I've recorded over a year ago. It's titled "Vote for Sex." So thank you to everyone who's out there listening in TV land as well. If you've stopped flipping through the channels, I appreciate that. Sit back for a few seconds. Let me give you a little bit of spoken word. Nowadays, even sex is political. So when I make love, that's a vote that I'm giving you. When casting my ballot, I'm simply quite cynical. You see, I've stepped into the booth so many times, not ready to pull that lever, not knowing the candidate. You see, I was never judicious with my executive branch, so I was jerked every time that I put it down in the legislature. I fell for the rhetoric, line by line, suckered by the propaganda every single time. So angry with the deception, I wanted to move to impeach. But I'm so scared of the unknown that I stick with the incumbent and roll my eyes every time she speaks. Feeling disenfranchised, I choose not to step into the booth. No more falling hook, line, and sinker for a quirky, well-marketed, superficial bumper sticker. So, whether you're an anarchist, federalist, Democratic, Republican, Acorn, Tea Party strategist, this is just a bit of dialectic from a young Boricua elocutionist. So, the search for the perfect candidate is simply a scheme to replace finding someone who shares in my dreams, someone to subsidize my love and contribute to my welfare. Honestly, it's as simple as universal health care. So before we can begin on this journey we call love, I have a bill earmarked with your name on it. The question is, are you ready to pass it? Folks, I want to thank you for your time and attention. If you ever want to give me any feedback, you can always email me at wrfu@theshow1045.com, wrfu@theshow1045.com. You can also go to the website, theshow1045.com, THESHOW1045.com. If I hear a little corner right here, like under my finger things right there. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to be out here. Like I said, I could have easily not said the things that I've said. I could have sat back in the corner, but I'm going to leave the same way I came in, man, going full force with my head going into a brick wall. Hopefully some good comes out of it. Some scholar out there is inspired to do something even better. I don't want anyone ever, despite any of my many accomplishments, to be like me, be better than me. Okay? Thank you all for your time and attention. Peace.